Welcome to Evo Biz Devo with Isis Latham, your host, your hub for personal and professional growth since 2018. At Evo Biz Devo, we bring together entrepreneurs, business leaders, and change makers to spark ideas, share knowledge, and grow together. Stick with us as we explore fresh ways to expand networks, build resources, and create lasting impact. Let's get started. It is a privilege and an honor to welcome you, Bobby Babak, your full-time personal coach and accountability partner. Today, we're going to be talking about goal setting to goal conquering and the journey of follow through. Really an exciting topic, and I'm so happy to have you here with me today. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. The pleasure is mine. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, you're joining us from New York City, right?
Yep.
Anything good going on in New York today?
I haven't checked. I don't know. I haven't stepped up yet, but
Oh, really?
there's always good stuff happening
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a favorite of our family, and we can't wait to go back again. Um, I always ask people, what is it that you're passionate about? And when I asked you that question, you shared a lot with me. But if I were to break it down and just nutshell it, you talked about coaching people through their tough life challenges to bring more joy and meaning to their lives. And that this passion for doing this for yourself as well, and that nothing brings more meaning to your life than growing into the best version of yourself every day. Talk to me about how this came about, how this became your passion, or maybe it was always there, but you recognized it.
Sure. Yeah, not that I think, I knew I grew up with a lot of struggles in my life. And one of them, a big one of them, was a search for meaning, something that gives my life meaning. And I had different phases in my life where I got into, I don't know, playing games uh, or into certain habits or bad habits, good habits, whatever it was. But all of the things that I picked up always gave me a little bit of pleasure, or think of it as meaning. And then it went away. But eventually, I discovered something that lasted for years, and it's still working for me, which is growth. And it gives a lot of meaning because you never run out of things to grow into. And every time I grow into something, I discover more in life. I discover more positive things about myself. I love the challenge of it. I love seeing myself go through the change. And with every change comes more positive things. You were just talking about it before we started this conversation, about the importance of gratitude. That was one of the things. So to shift your mind from all those negative things in life into little things that could be really positive, and you'll never run out of things to be grateful about. And it's a state of mind.
Yeah.
Making that shift was one of those things, but there are thousands of other things that each of us can grow into, and it gives a lot of meaning to life, and it makes it challenging, and it makes it fun, and you never run out of things.
How did you discover growth?
um Out of being really unhappy. I had no choice. I did not like my life. I did not like the way things were going, with my family, with my friends. I saw no purpose in anything. And so then I had to start doing things that were uncomfortable, that were outside of my comfort zone. I had to take risks. I had to do things that were scary to me. And they ended up paying off way more than I expected.
You've mentioned a challenging early part of your life a couple of times. Are you open to putting that in context for those who are listening today?
Sure, I can do that. One of them was, my family immigrated from a different country, and blending in was not easy for me. Making friends was not easy for me. And then I had some sort of a learning difficulty. To this day. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's ADHD, maybe it's uh, dyslexia or whatever else it was. I had a different way of learning. And so I did poorly in school. I got in trouble in school. I made choices that were not good for me. And yeah, those were a lot of things that I struggled with. And more than anything else, I think what we need the most from life is meaning,
Mhm.
right? And I couldn't find something to live for. I couldn't find something that I would wake up to every day and feel challenged by, feel excited about. Um, that was not a good way for me to live. I didn't like it.
How long did it take you? How old were you when you found this new meaning?
Okay. Well, I wasn't going to get into this, but now that the question's there, the thing that finally made me have to do all of this was that one of the solutions that I picked to improve my life or to solve my problems was using drugs and alcohol. And that was the final thing that showed me for a very small period of time that, oh, there could be joy, there could be things that makes life worth living. But then, as everyone knows, that's a very temporary thing, and then it abandons you very fast and leaves you at a place where you're desperate. And that desperation and that having to finally make that change, which was about 8 years ago, made me take a complete turn and start doing things I was never willing to do.
I find the most significant moments come packaged in something different that I wouldn't necessarily pay attention to. And as you were just
Yeah.
saying that, I was thinking about last night watching a movie with my husband and my children, and choosing this movie, choosing the Jesus Revolution, knowing that it may bring up a lot of different feelings in our house, but choosing it because I wanted to know the history of what was happening in the 70s when that revolution was coming out. And you said almost word for word something that they said, which was that everybody was just seeking, and they were using drugs and they were using alcohol to try to find meaning, and that instead it left them, literally they used this word, desperation. And desperation is a powerful thing. And he said to the pastor, have you experienced desperation? And he'd not yet. And so he didn't understand. Do you think that your having gone to that place and you're being willing to share about it makes you a better coach?
Oh, absolutely. I believe it with all my heart that what I have gained and all the growth I've done was a result of that. And I wouldn't change it, even though you making those choices cost me a lot in my life. I would not go back and change it. If I had the chance, I would not, I would leave it the same way because it got me to a place where I got enough motivation, enough of a drive to actually do those things that I had to do to grow and to completely change things. So yes,
How do you connect with new clients?
I connect with new clients by asking them what it is that they want from life, and usually what their first answer does not end up being the answer that we start working on, because I keep asking, what do you want that for? Whatever they say, if it's better house or money or health or whatever it is that they want, what do you want that for? And I keep asking until I get it down to a very powerful thing that each person wants, be it connection with my family or um, being a being an effective person or making a difference in other people's lives, something that's very human and very powerful. and then we work from there.
Because that powerful experience develops more meaning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. More meaning and um, more of a drive to want to change.
Yeah.
Because wanting to change is great and everyone wants to change. Most people want to change, want to make improvements, wants to grow, but actually doing it takes motivation. It takes the willingness to keep failing and to keep experiencing uncomfortable things to do that, which is why a lot of us make a resolution. We decide to change this thing or that thing about ourselves, and we work at it for a few days, and then we default back usually.
Mhm.
That's how the human mind works, because we're creatures of habit. We default back. And what I do is I work with people to maintain that motivation, to maintain that sense of purpose in order to continue till they see that growth that they want to see.
Something that you said to me when we first met that really resonated was that you had not always been a coach
Right.
in your profession. Tell us a little bit about your background and the way that you started to recognize that you really were a coach through and through.
Sure. So I always liked the helping profession. So I started as a social worker, and then I ended up as a therapist. And then as I was doing therapy, I discovered that what I like even more to do is coaching. Because coaching has a lot to do with taking action, with doing things, and seeing results comes a lot faster when we start doing things.
Can you give us an idea of what the difference is to the layperson between therapy and coaching?
Sure. The simplest way I put it is therapy is for healing and coaching is for excellence. And we all need those at different points in our lives. So neither of them, I could say, is better or more important than the other one. It's just what each person needs from life.
You've spoken about, and I have to admit, you're the first coach that I've ever heard say this so clearly, that you're obsessed with delivering absolute value. Towards that end, you use an evidence-based effective tools and strategies, or you use evidence-based effective tools and strategies, as well as a guarantee of results with a 100% refund policy. Tell us how you developed the confidence to do this, what some of that evidence-based style is,
Sure.
and have you ever had to implement it?
Sure. So that question had a few parts. I'm gonna address it, but if I forget any part at the end, do remind me, please. So this is something I love explaining, and part of what makes me passionate about coaching is as I made many attempts to learn the art of growing, and continuously making myself better as a person. One thing that I ran into a lot was disappointment. You go to this workshop, you go to this group, a coach, a therapist, and then you get excited and you make this decision that never again, I'm different now, I've changed, and this is my new way. And more often than not, you find yourself back where you were a week or two after that. The reason for that is because we as humans have a certain way of thinking, of behaving, of changing. We're creatures of habit. We don't like to step out of our comfort zone. And so what happens is if a coach or a therapist doesn't pay attention to what our brain wants, how it operates, how it works, then what happens is, yes, you get that excitement with the coach in that session, and you're all determined and you're all ready to go. And a few days later, you find yourself back where you were, right? Because, and I realized that that's because a coach or a therapist has to work in accordance with how the human mind works, right? And one of those ways How much time do I have? Because I want to know how much detail
Well,
I can.
let's say about 10 more minutes. And then
Okay,
if we need more than that, then take that portion and move it right into our mastermind.
you got it. Okay. So one of those things is the fact that we never do anything that's not in line with our our brain's reward system. In other words, everything that we do has a payoff. Anything that I say has a payoff. If a person smokes, it pays off. If a person um if a person gets angry and yells, it pays off. By the same token, if a person helps others, it pays off. If a person goes out of their way to do something meaningful for herself, for himself, for others, it's because it pays off. We never do anything that doesn't pay off. Never. That's just human behavior, right? So if I pick something to do that is more painful than it actually pays off, then I can be sure that I'm not going to continue to do it. For example, if I decide to go to the gym and I find working out to be annoying, to be painful, to be something I don't like to do, boring, right? Which is the case with most people, including myself. What do I, what do I, what reason do I have to think I'm going to keep doing it? It's not human nature to keep doing something that doesn't pay off. So unless I find a sustainable way to keep myself motivated, to keep myself feeling good about it more than the pain, then I'm not going to continue going to the gym. That's for sure. And what I do as a coach is I find ways for each person to find payoff, to find a rewarding feeling in doing those things that they want to do. Right? For example, I'll use another example other than the gym. Let's say a person wants to be more assertive and they have difficulty saying no. They suffer from being really shy. And now they want to go and try to step out of that comfort zone every day to change that, right? That's one of the ways to do it is to behaviorally go and do something outside of your comfort zone so many times that it becomes comfortable. So I might give the person the project of going and meeting someone new every day. That person is going to go and make a few attempts to talk to new people. They're going to see, they're going to be obviously, because that's what a person who has that kind of anxiety has, is sensitivity, extra sensitivity to other people's reactions. So they're going to make those attempts. Those other people are going to say things or do things that's going to be painful to the person, that's going to be scary to the person. And the person is going to come back and not going to want to do it again, right? So every time that person would try to get out of their comfort zone to make that new change, to talk to new people, to say no to someone when they want to say no instead of saying yes because they're afraid of making the person upset. Every time they make that attempt, the feedback that they get from it because of their conditioning is going to be painful. Do that a few times and you're going to stop wanting to do it. So what I do as a coach is I take that and I make it aligned with how the mind works. So for example, every time they go and they get that negative pushback, they would get back to me and we would reframe that as a positive thing. We would reframe that as, oh, this is actually needed for your growth. And we celebrate it instead of letting the person go to a negative place. And we repeat doing that every time, something that increases the payoff, something that makes it more enjoyable. Or I'll just give a third example to make it more clear because it can get theoretical, but it really is very simple. We can turn something into a game. So for example, I was working with a physician who had a crap ton of patient charts to do every day, and he had to take them home. It took away from his time with his family. He hated it. He hated having to sit through them every day. It was a very unfulfilling part of his job, just doing all that paperwork for the patients. And what we did was we created a game out of it. We created a game that reduced the time, that challenged him to go through it faster, that included getting rewarded when he got it done. And not only did it make it more fun and more rewarding, but it also got him to the results he wanted, which is finishing it in a much faster time, right? So in summary, when we want to change, there are uncomfortable things that we have to do. And if those uncomfortable things are not paired with something else that's rewarding, that's enjoyable, human nature is in a way that we won't continue. And here's the cool thing about it. People think that people with a lot of self-discipline, right? I've built my habits in a way that my friends and my family, they think of me as someone with self-discipline, and they think it's a superpower, but it's not. There, even those people with a lot of self-discipline, even they do not have the ability to do things that don't pay off. What they do have is they have a way of getting themselves motivated and rewarded. When they want to get out of bed early in the morning to do this new workout they said they were going to do, and they really don't feel like it, they have learned to make that activity more appealing for themselves. They've learned to give themselves a positive talk through it and to get themselves up to do it. So they've just learned how to increase the payoff for themselves. What I do is I help each person learn that art, learn how to increase the enjoyment or the meaning they get out of doing uncomfortable things until they pick that up on their own and they continue on their own and they won't need me anymore. And when I do that with people as a coach, and you told me how can I guarantee it? I can guarantee it because I see what happens when someone comes in, they're committed to what they want to do, they pay for a coach, they invest their time and money, and they start working with me every day. Everyone I work with, they come up with this big goal, and I can be sure they're going to fall back because that's what happens. That's human nature. What I have is I offer immersive coaching, which allows them to call me back every day, text me back every day, to call me throughout the week when they need help. And they fall back so many times, and I help push them back forward so many times that then they start seeing results. And the results by themselves, be it getting more fit, getting better with business, getting better with family, with relationships, whatever it is, that's the biggest payoff of all. But the problem is that we don't see those things the first day. I don't see results the first or second day I step into the gym. That's why most people who start the gym, they quit before they get the results, because it's more painful than rewarding. And I help people to get that reward, to get that positive feeling that they need to persevere through those things.
Well said. I appreciate you taking the time to clearly answer the question. Now, the last part of the question was, have you ever had to actually refund a client?
Not yet.
That's wonderful. Well, that's
Not
quite
yet.
a track
Yeah.
record that you have.
Yeah, not yet. And I'm willing to do it, and I see it. You see enough clients, it might come up one way or another. I see the possibility of it happening, and I'm okay with it because I don't like to charge for doing the things that I do. I like to charge for the value that I give. And if the person's not taking value from the work, I don't want their money.
What is one parting piece of advice that you'd like to leave us with, whether it's a piece of advice around building habits, implementing habits, figuring out what our payoff is going to be, or maybe it's something that I haven't even mentioned, but it's on your mind?
Hmm. Something that I got from a mentor that's always helped, and it continues to help me, is a very simple sentence that works like magic once we really get it into our minds, is that for every problem there is a solution. So whenever I feel stuck, whenever I feel frustrated, I tell myself, first and foremost, there is a solution, and it's only a matter of finding it. Once I truly accept that, my brain is going to be primed in a way so that anywhere I look, everywhere I look, when I see the solution, I pull it in, I find it. So it's like you said in the beginning, it's the mindset, it's the way of thinking about things. And that sentence has a lot of power. There's always, always, always a solution. That would be the sentence I would tell you.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Well, there is always a solution. We're going to leave you with that last thought. And thank you for joining us at Evolution Business Development. And if you are interested in joining some of our live meetings, please go ahead and do that and join us in our mastermind. Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Want to be our next featured speaker? Click the link in the description to register, and let's stay connected. Follow me on all those social media platforms for financial tips to help you make your money work smarter while you build financial stability. Stay tuned for more, and see you in the next one.